Вот он, самолетного типа.
Everyone's talking about FPV drones like they're these unstoppable game changers that are going to revolutionize warfare forever. Swarms of cheap kamikaze robots terrorizing battlefields, making conventional forces obsolete. But here's what's actually happening right now in Ukraine, and why the military's solution to the drone problem is way more straightforward than you think. This is the story of how armies are preparing to fight the drone war. And honestly, the solution might surprise you. Now, I'll be upfront about this. When I first started researching FPV drones, I bought into all the hype. Social media is flooded with these incredible videos of tiny drones flying through tank hatches, hitting moving vehicles with surgical precision, or diving into bunkers to eliminate entire squads. It looks like something out of a science fiction movie. But then I came across some data that completely changed my perspective. A volunteer who spent 6 months operating FPV drones in Ukraine collected actual statistics on their effectiveness. And the numbers are not what you'd expect. 43% success rate. That's how often FPV drones actually hit their intended targets. And that's only counting missions where they even attempted the flight. If you include all the times operators had to scrub missions due to weather, technical problems, or jamming, the success rate drops to somewhere between 20 and 30%. But here's the part that really got me. The vast majority of successful FPV strikes weren't doing anything special. They were delivering second hits on targets that had already been successfully attacked by mortars or other weapons. The percentage of missions where FPV drones accomplished something that only they could do was in the single digits. So much for the revolution in warfare. Don't get me wrong, drones are definitely changing combat. When they work, they're terrifying and effective. But the reality is way messier than the highlight reel suggests. Here's what's actually happening on the battlefield. A quarter of all FPV drones have technical faults that prevent them from even taking off. Radio receivers fail, video transmitters die, software glitches crash the system. Many drones get cannibalized for spare parts because there's literally no other use for them. Even when they do get airborne, about 10% of the time, the warhead doesn't detonate on impact. Imagine being a drone operator, successfully navigating through enemy jamming, avoiding obstacles, hitting your target perfectly, and then nothing happens. Just an expensive thud. The weather is another massive problem. These things can't fly in wind, rain, snow, or fog. In Ukraine during winter, it's dark for 14 hours a day, and most FPV drones don't have night vision capability. The ones that do cost twice as much and are in short supply. But the biggest limitation by far is electronic interference. Enemy jamming brought down 31% of all drone missions. That's not a small technical hiccup, that's a fundamental vulnerability. And this brings us to why traditional countermeasures aren't going to work long term. Right now, most military thinking about drone defense focuses on jamming. Disrupt the radio link between operator and drone, and the drone becomes useless. In theory, it's perfect. In practice, it's already being outpaced by technology. Engineers are constantly changing frequencies to avoid standard jamming patterns. Instead of the typical 5.8 gigahertz that most jammers target, they're running 1.5 gigahertz or other frequencies that portable jammers can't handle. More powerful video transmitters can punch through jamming with 10 watts of output instead of the standard 2.5. But here's the real problem with jamming as a strategy. It's about to become completely obsolete. Fiber optic drones are already being deployed in Ukraine. These things are connected to their operators by physical cables instead of radio links. You can't jam a wire. The cable extends their battery life, makes frequency deconfliction unnecessary, and even allows for tactics like landing next to a road and waiting hours for a target to appear. Then there's AI guidance systems. Once a drone can navigate and identify targets autonomously, radio jamming becomes irrelevant. The drone doesn't need constant communication with an operator. It just needs a target designation and it handles the rest. Inertial navigation is another game changer. Ukraine is already using this technology to send large fixed-wing drones over 1,000 kilometers behind Russian lines. They dead reckon their way through jamming zones and hit oil refineries and infrastructure targets. If you can do that with a big strategic drone, you can definitely do it with small tactical ones. So jammers, the current go-to solution for drone defense, are fundamentally limited. They're expensive, they need constant power and maintenance. They don't discriminate between friendly and enemy drones, and they're already being bypassed by current technology. The military knows this, which is why they're developing kinetic solutions, systems that physically destroy drones instead of trying to disrupt their communications. AI-powered turrets are the most promising development I've seen. Picture automated systems mounted on vehicles or fixed positions, equipped with radar, acoustic sensors, and computer vision. They detect incoming drones, track their movement, and engage with conventional ammunition. No jamming required, just point and shoot. The economics make sense too. A typical FPV drone costs about $400 to $800 to build. You can't be launching $1,000 missiles at them. But a burst of conventional ammunition from an automated turret, that's cost effective. Interceptor drones are another solution that's already being tested. Basically, you use drones to hunt drones. The 25th Airborne was using these effectively in early 2024 to take out expensive Russian Lancet and Orlan drones. When a $500 interceptor drone can eliminate a $500,000 fixed-wing reconnaissance platform, the math works out pretty well. For smaller FPV drones, specialized shotgun ammunition is being developed. Anti-drone shells that can effectively engage targets up to 50 meters away. It's not perfect, especially against high-speed targets, but it gives individual soldiers a fighting chance. But here's where it gets really interesting. While engineers are developing high-tech solutions, soldiers in the field are getting creative with whatever they can find. I came across footage of Marines using one of the most improvised countermeasures I've ever seen. They're taking trash, debris, anything they can find lying around, tying it to the end of a pole, and using it to physically catch incoming drones a few feet away from their position. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Is it better than taking a direct hit from a kamikaze drone? Definitely. The idea is simple. Force the explosive to detonate at a distance rather than right on top of you. It's crude, desperate, and completely improvised, but it shows how adaptable soldiers are when faced with new threats. This kind of field improvisation really puts the whole drone revolution in perspective. If you can counter a cutting-edge weapon system with literal garbage tied to a stick, maybe the technology isn't quite as revolutionary as advertised. But honestly, the more I research this, the more I think the drone threat is being overstated. Yes, drones cause a lot of casualties in Ukraine. The frequently cited statistic is that 60 to 70% of battlefield casualties come from drones, but that number includes all types of drones, not just FPVs. Reconnaissance drones, spotting for artillery, probably cause more casualties than kamikaze attacks. And here's something that really puts things in perspective. A volunteer drone operator in Ukraine found that most of their successful missions could have been accomplished more cheaply and reliably by mortars. An FPV sortie costs about $500 in materials. A mortar round costs less than $100. A well-trained mortar crew can put rounds on target in under 5 minutes, regardless of weather, darkness, or electronic interference. FPV sorties took about 15 minutes under optimal conditions, and that's when everything went perfectly. The range advantage that drones supposedly have over mortars, in practice, this volunteer couldn't remember a single case where they struck a target beyond mortar range. The precision strike capability that's supposed to be FPV's main advantage, it happened in less than 10% of missions. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying drones are useless. When they work, they're extremely effective psychological weapons. The videos of successful strikes are genuinely impressive, and the fear factor is real, but the gap between social media highlights and battlefield reality is enormous. The future of drone warfare is going to look different than what most people expect. Instead of swarms of unstoppable robots, we're probably looking at a cat-and-mouse game between drone technology and countermeasures. Fiber optic drones solve the jamming problem, but create new limitations. The cable restricts maneuverability. makes the drone harder to fly and doubles the cost. AI guidance will improve, but it also requires more expensive components and better manufacturing standards. Meanwhile, automated defense systems are getting cheaper and more effective. AI-powered turrets, interceptor drones, and specialized ammunition are all entering production. The window where cheap FPV drones had a major advantage is probably closing. Military logistics are also adapting. NATO forces are prioritizing well-trained organic mortar support with ample ammunition supplies. For the rare cases where tactical precision strikes are actually necessary, they're investing in higher quality loitering munitions like the Switchblade rather than trying to scale up FPV capabilities. The bottom line is this: FPV drones are a real threat that's being taken seriously by military planners, but they're not the game-changing superweapon that's going to replace artillery and revolutionize warfare. They're finicky, unreliable, weather-dependent, and highly vulnerable to electronic countermeasures. Most of their missions can be accomplished more effectively by conventional weapons, and the countermeasures being developed will probably neutralize their main advantages within the next few years. The drone revolution is happening, but it's going to be messier, more limited, and more temporary than the hype suggests. And honestly, that's probably a good thing for anyone who doesn't want to live in a world where swarms of killer robots decide the outcome of every conflict. The real lesson here is that new military technologies usually look more revolutionary than they actually are. Every generation of weapons gets hyped as the thing that will change warfare forever. Sometimes they do make a difference, but it's usually smaller and more gradual than the early adopters predict. FPV drones are following that same pattern, impressive in the right circumstances, but not nearly as dominant as their reputation suggests, and the countermeasures are already catching up. That's all for today's video. Hope you enjoyed diving into the reality behind the FPV drone hype and maybe learned something that challenges what you've been hearing elsewhere. I certainly had some assumptions corrected while researching this. We cover all kinds of military stories around here, everything from Cold War battles to modern-day battlefield situations. Basically, if it involves military history from these time periods, it's probably going to end up on this channel. So if that's your kind of thing, hit subscribe, because there are definitely more fascinating stories coming your way. And if you could throw us a like, that'd be awesome. It genuinely helps small channels like ours actually reach people who dig this kind of content. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you next time.